President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday launched the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program, NJFP, as part of his administration's efforts to boost job creation, consistency in policy and innovation. The program is a youth empowerment partnership initiative between the federal government of Nigeria and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. As a post-national Youth Service Corps Work Placement Program, the Nigeria Fellows Jubilee Program is designed to provide an opportunity for mentors who are already engaged in various industries to gain relevant experience and build capacity to provide mentorship and support to young Nigerians. Now, with the launching of this initiative, new opportunities are expected to be created annually for 20,000 graduates, as the beneficiaries will gain valuable experience during 12 months of engagement. Work experience, however, is not a requirement for participants to benefit from the program. As the NJFP is set to commence, who will be the beneficiaries of the program? What will be the age brackets? What happens after the 12 months of engagements? How does it differ from the NYSC scheme? And what will be the role of partners on the program? Well, these are questions our guest shall be providing answers to in a short while on this edition of Nigeria Today. Welcome to the program. I'm Dennis Adigunloye. All right, joining me in the studio to discuss the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows Program, we have the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Julie Ngalale. You're welcome once again to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, well, rising unemployment and COVID-19 have no doubt impacted negatively on the ability and opportunities for youth to engage or get employment. How is this recently launched program by the Mr. President going to break down some of these barriers and afford youth the opportunity to enter the workforce?
Thank you very much once again. So certainly, as you've enunciated in your opening, it's been quite a dastardly combination between COVID-19 and, of course, the adverse impact that's had on economies around the world, not just Nigeria, certainly in Nigeria as well. Fortunately, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has been very, very responsive and really one step ahead of the challenges as they've come up. Not just with the implementation of many of the measures we put in place, the 2.3 trillion naira economic sustainability plan and the wide host of programs therein, but also in terms of just ensuring that large to micro to medium scale enterprises across the nation are being supported with funds from the Central Bank of Nigeria and other sources, including the Bank of Industry. Now, with that said, the Nigerian Jubilee Fellowship Program is something we're very excited about because it really deals with some of the core elements of what we have always known have been some of the historical challenges confronting the average Nigerian graduate, right? Which is the issue of having a lot of theoretical understanding of the various sectors in which they've studied, but not necessarily having the requisite work experience to attract the employment opportunities that ordinarily they might enjoy if they had that experience. And so what you have in this program really is an innovative solution by government in partnership between the federal government of Nigeria and the United Nations Development Program. We are really leveraging on digital technology and information and communications technology architecture to be able to match young Nigerian graduates who have a first degree and who have graduated from a Nigerian institution, a tertiary institution, university, or a corresponding level of tertiary education at the level of, I think, grade point average 2.2. So second class lower is the base minimum of what you must have to be able to benefit from this opportunity. But in effect, you must have graduated after the year 2017 or after.
Yeah.
So the age group, again, you're looking at more or less 25 and under, more or less. So that is basically to ensure that these young people, the kind of the fresh crop, or the more of the fresh crop, are able to be matched with these host organizations, both public and private sector, but predominantly private sector. Private sector to the tune of about 95% of the participating organizations will be private sector organizations. They will be matched on this platform, on this e-platform, and then they will now undertake a 12-month kind of fellowship in which they would have gained the very latest in the cutting edge of practice in that particular sector from a leading organization in that sector operating in Nigeria and around the world. This really positions them after the 12 months to do the following. One, you can be engaged by that institution after your fellowship would have concluded, which of course bolsters the incentive of the beneficiary, of the fellow, to say, look, I'm going to give it my best for this 1 year and hope that I've proven myself to the point where they would want to retain my services. Or secondly, you have the practical skills to join with the theoretical knowledge that you are able to obtain in the university, to the extent now that either you're coming out extremely employable by perhaps another organization, or you yourself are now equipped to start your own entrepreneurial journey, perhaps with your own micro or small enterprise. So there are multiple opportunities that will range from this. And I think more than that is the fact that within the larger context of what we see in the country, where you have about 600,000 graduates coming into the labor force on average every single year, where you have approximately 18% of the graduate pool in Africa coming from Nigeria, you know that it's extremely important that we are actively courting opportunities from both the public and private sectors to partner and ensure that we provide not just employment opportunities for our young people, but also the upskilling opportunities as well, to really position them to be at the top of the pack in terms of engaging in the 21st century global economy.
Sure. 600,000 graduates churned out annually, right, as we all know. This initiative is talking about 20,000
in the first batch, right?
I mean, is this not quite a conservative figure?
Well, it's not, and that's why we're very clear about the context, right? This is not a one-all, end-all solution. We recognize that this is just one step in the larger trajectory of what government is doing. Obviously, when you talk about the Special Public Works program, where we've engaged 774,000 young Nigerians, 1,000 from every local government area, in addition to N-Power with hundreds of thousands. We're actually taking that up to 1 million this year. In addition to the National Youth Investment Fund, 75 billion for youth-owned enterprises across the nation, spanning from the creative industry to manufacturing to many others, fintech and the like. That you recognize that there are multifarious interventions on the part of the federal government of Nigeria under the leadership of Mr. President to really deal with this issue. So this is not on its own the solution, but it certainly is part of the solution, and we're very proud of that. I think on the other side of that, let's be clear also about the fact that not only is it broken down the way it is, as I've mentioned, but it also cuts across multiple sectors, and that was very intentional on the part of government, recognizing that the future of the nation's economy is going to be diversified away from oil and gas. We do not want a situation where we're simply taking our brilliant young minds and putting them in a Shell or a Total or somewhere like that. We really wanted to diversify the portfolio of the organizations we're working with, and so we've broken it down to where you have about 5% of these fellows going to oil and gas related enterprises, 5% going into clean energy and climate change, and it could be solar energy and any of these clean energy type of companies. Then we have 10% going to manufacturing, 10% going into trade industry, 10% going into agriculture and agro-processing firms, 10% going into telecoms and innovation. I mean, we've really tried to cut across here amongst all the sectors, and that's really very exciting for us. And I think what's also very important is that it's a win-win, right? So it's not just a win for the fellow. Yeah. It's also a win for the organization, because what you're getting in effect is clearly a very qualified young person, because they would have gone through a digital vetting process in which you would have had all of their information. They would have gone through the interview process and all of that. Then, not on top of having a vibrant young person who's qualified, you're also having someone who is heavily incentivized, heavily motivated to prove him or herself in the workplace. So that obviously brings a level of merit and quality with the fellow that's coming into your organization. And then secondly, and then furthermore, you become relevant in the national kind of policy influencing space, because now you're directly engaging with the federal government of Nigeria in providing opportunities for young people that perhaps would not have had those opportunities if not for the program. And now you're in a position at the table to say, hey, look, in terms of policy, these are the areas where we think young Nigerian graduates can be optimized. These are the areas where we think we can make this adjustment or that adjustment. So it really is a win-win, not just for the beneficiary, the Jubilee Fellow, but also for the organization that's involved. And that's something that we're very excited about.
Sure. Obviously, this is a novel idea, and a lot of components have come into it, as you've explained. There will be the cynics who always have something negative to say about any government initiative. How would you convince those who may say, what is the difference between this program and the well-established National Youth Service Corps program?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, of course, the National Youth Service Corps program, and that's been a very effective tool in terms of providing a platform on which we can very strategically and proactively unite the nation, ensure that you have generations of young people who know themselves, know each other's cultures, identify with themselves, see themselves in each other. So the fundamental aims of the Youth Service Scheme, the National Youth Service Scheme, and of course the fundamental aims of the Jubilee Fellowship Program is not quite the same. Yes, there are some similar strands, but when you're talking about really providing private sector institutions an opportunity to directly mentor and upskill very, very fresh young Nigerian graduates, not necessarily up to 30, 35, as you may see with the youth service program. You recognize how strategically narrow the objectives are in relation to this youth service scheme, which has some of the larger thematic concerns around patriotism, unity, and some of these other elements that are also involved. But I would just add, my brother, that when you look at this program, in addition to all of what I've mentioned, I think it's also essential to note that the Jubilee Fellows program cuts across all states of the Federation. The opportunities are not localized in one particular region or another. It's not going to be necessarily about where you're from. It's going to be about your capacity. But we know as Nigerians that there's no corner of this country where you will not find brilliant and qualified individuals across multiple sectors. We have so many people who can fill the slots. So our focus is, first of all, let's kick it off, right? Let's start. The best step is the first step. So you take your first step, and then after that, we're actively working with co-financiers and new partners around the world, not just in Nigeria, to ensure not just the sustainability of the program, but ultimately the expansion of the program. It's 20,000 at the first go, but we're very optimistic that as time goes on and with the enhancement of our partnership base, we're going to be able to expand this far beyond that scope.
All right, very, very interesting prospects there. All right, the program is Nigeria Today. Stay with us. We'll continue this discussion after this break. All right, you're welcome back. The program is Nigeria Today. We are discussing the Nigeria Jubilee Fellows program recently launched by President Muhammadu Buhari. We have in the studio the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Ajuri Ngalale, who was giving us in-depth analysis and understanding of the program and how it's going to benefit the youth. Just tell us why this has been named the Nigeria Jubilee's Fellows Program.
Yeah, thank you. I think first, really and foremost, it's a recognition of the fact that as we have gotten to the level, not just in terms of age, but in terms of development that we are as a nation, that we are now very strategically positioned to take our leadership role, not just in the continent, but in the global economic space. We recognize that, you know, and this is another stark kind of point of differentiation between the NYSC scheme and this program is we are grooming leaders of sectors. This is a very, and that's why you have the qualification requirements the way that they are, ensuring that we don't just get young people in a certain age demographic, but that we are qualitatively sifting out the very best of the best to be attached to very premier organizations that have already attained global best practice in their various fields. So if you're into you know, manufacturing, for example, and you're being sent to you know, a major industrial player like a BUA, like a Dangote, like a Flour Mills of Nigeria, whatever the case may be, you're likely going to be able to attain the very best practical know-how to attach with your formal theoretical education. So that's one part of it. On the other part of it, we recognize that it's this, we don't necessarily want to create a kind of ongoing dependency type of program, a welfarist type of program. That's not what this is. We are looking at creating, of course, after the program, and this is an important point to emphasize, after the program we have the onboarding, so you have the process, the digital vetting process through which these young people will be matched with their industrial hosts. Then after the 12 years of work placement has concluded, for which they will be paid, by the way, I want to emphasize that, they will be fully paid for during this program, that after that program we're going to have what we call the offboarding program, in which they will be offboarded into not just the issue of what I've mentioned of retention in those organizations, and also have opportunities to start their own enterprises, but there's also going to be a very clearly articulated and structured Nigerian Jubilee Fellowship Alumni Association. This Alumni Association essentially is going to be a network of these young people who have already attained excellent results in the university, have attained the highest level of skill acquisition possible within their respective industries, now have a network where they can create opportunities not just for themselves, but for other young Nigerians who are just as promising as they were before they were mentored. Now the mentee becomes the mentor, and that's something that we're very excited about. So really, we are looking at sustainability within this program. Not just a matter of saying, oh, we have 20,000 young people engaged. No, that's good, but that's not the target. The target is making sure that we build patriotic, highly skilled leaders of multiple sectors, which is why I provided the breakdown of how we are segmenting it across sectors and value chains to ensure that the future of the nation's diversified economy is really predicated on a group of young patriotic Nigerians who have benefited from the federal interventions and will be ready to give back to the nation that provided this opportunity for them.
All right. One issue that I want to bring to get your thoughts on it. Nigerian universities are churning out graduates. We've already said about 600,000 every year.
That's right.
It's not news that many of those, a high percentage of those, to put it bluntly, are not really worth their salt. I hope I'm not offending too many people when I say that, but it's almost a fact anyway. How is this initiative going to identify, as you say, the best of the best? You say 2-2 as a minimum requirements. Given what you've said all along, is it not too low a qualification to select the best of the best to enter this visionary program?
Thank you very much, Dennis. Let me just start before I answer your question by perhaps moderating what I think was a very well-intended point you were making. I would just moderate it by saying that I don't know that it's a situation in which Nigerian graduates are not worth their salt, in as much as it's a situation of very brilliant and capable young people who are being underserved by ineffective institutions in many cases. And that's really not their fault. When you have scandals like sex for grades, and you have the kind of endemic corruption we've seen within our education sector over the course of over the last several decades, you recognize that our young people have been more victimized than anything else. So, but look, we don't have a lot of time to cry and lament. We have to move forward. We have to make sure that we do the important work we're having to do of progressively evolving these institutions into the types of institutions that can churn out the kinds of graduates that will make us proud. And I also think that when you look around the world and you look at the top of sectors around the world, whether it's global banking, global medicine, global public policy, you're going to find Nigerian graduates who graduated from homegrown from Nigerian universities who've really made the nation proud. So for us, it's about doubling down and making sure that we give them many more tools to work with to fulfill their potentials. Now, with that said, this program really assists us in doing that. What you're now going to have is a scenario in which you have young people saying, you know what, even if I may not have necessarily, on the top of it, a full-time job that I can rely on for, 25 years in this institution. Because our people are so just inherently enterprising. It's just the nature of a Nigerian to hustle very hard, do everything it requires to change their material condition over time. Because that's who we are, we recognize that if you just give a young person a chance, they'll run with it. And we've seen that in N-Power, where 500,000 of our young people that came in batch A, for example, about 30% of them have gone on to start very successful enterprises, and they're not even looking for government handout or government dependent programs. So it really is, it really speaks to the fact that that any investment in a young Nigerian, whether a graduate or not a graduate, because remember, we have a lot of brilliant and skilled Nigerians of youthful age who have not had the privilege of a formal education, but have done well when we've put them in the Special Public Works program, have done well when we put them in, given them operations grants through the Economic Sustainability Plan and some of the other interventions. So we are very confident that we're making the best investment when we invest in our young people.
Absolutely. All right. Unfortunately, our time is up, but we definitely want to appreciate you for giving us a better insight into this new initiative by Mr. President's administration. And we want to thank you, Senior Special Assistant to Mr. President on Public Affairs at Jubilee Ngalale. Thanks once again for being with us and sharing your thoughts on this initiative with us. Thank you.
A privilege. Thank you for having me.
All right. And that's Nigeria Today. We want to thank you out there for watching. The program is live every weekday at 7:30 in the evening. In the meantime, you can watch this and other editions of the program on youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Thanks for your time.